Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Brandon. Welcome back to Marotta Media. It's a new year, guys, and I am finally getting around to making my first full movie review of 2025. And you know what? I thought, new year, let's switch it up a bit. Why don't we keep this format that I've done for my end of the year list going? Because I really like the look of this. And I thought, what better movie to make a full review for than one of the biggest movies of the year this early on in the year, that being Captain America: Brave New World. Captain America: Brave New World begins a new saga for the character of Captain America, as this is the first time that we are seeing Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie, as the character full-time. And in Brave New World, we follow Sam Wilson finally picking up the mantle of Captain America, as well as newly elected President Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford. But when there's an assassination attempt on the president's life, Sam must find who is behind it and uncovers a much more sinister plot. Now, as a lot of you might know, if you have been following me for any amount of time, I have been incredibly critical of the MCU in recent years. Because plain and simple, I just don't have the same love and passion that I used to have for this franchise. And the biggest reason for that is that they clearly just aren't trying nearly as much as they used to. Marvel has clearly prioritized quantity over quality post-Endgame. They really don't care that the things they're putting out really aren't that great. They would much rather put out as much as they can to keep your attention and keep you invested in the universe. And in my opinion, post-Endgame, we have only gotten one truly fantastic Marvel movie, that being Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I have been mentally checked out of this universe for quite some time, but I am 17 years deep into this thing. I am not just going to stop now. So if you're sitting there wondering, why do I continue to watch even though I'm not really that into it anymore, I just cannot quit cold turkey. But going into Brave New World, I still didn't have very high hopes because I just thought this movie looked very average. And I was also very nervous going into it due to the fact that this movie has had a lot of reshoots and it's been delayed a few times. But I'm happy to report to you that Brave New World is not a bad movie. But it's not a good one either. This is one of the safest and most forgettable MCU movies that I have seen in quite some time. The problem with Brave New World is that this movie does not do anything particularly new or all that interesting. It's a very safe movie, that's the best way I can put it. It doesn't take any risks, it doesn't take any big swings, it's just very average and by the numbers, but it knows that it's okay because the audience is still probably going to eat it up. And you could tell from the beginning that Captain America: Brave New World does not even respect its audience because of the ridiculous amounts of exposition within this movie. Because it explains literally every single detail to the audience. It feels like this movie doesn't believe that the people watching are smart enough to understand what's going on, so it feels the need to spoon-feed you every little bit of information. It does not leave anything up for interpretation or for you to figure out by yourself. The characters will literally explain what is going on, what they're doing, where they're going, why they're doing what they're doing. It's truly just mind-boggling writing altogether. But as I said, Marvel is clearly prioritizing quantity over quality, and that could not be more clear with this movie. Because when the credits rolled on Brave New World, I was sitting there dumbfounded because I was like, what was the point of anything we just witnessed? This movie does not feel like it progresses anything. It just feels like a placeholder so Marvel can say they put something out. It doesn't progress the characters, it does not progress this particular story, and it doesn't really progress the MCU as a whole. This movie has no clear idea as to what its plans are for the future until we get to its post-credits scene, which I will talk about later. But we see these characters go through the same struggles and character arcs that we have seen before, particularly when it came to Sam Wilson. Because Sam feels like he goes through the exact same character arc that he does in the television show The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, a TV show that picks up right where Endgame left off after Steve Rogers gave Sam the shield saying, "Here, you're the new Captain America." And Sam just doesn't feel like he's worthy enough for it, so he gives the shield to a museum. The museum gives it to another guy, saying, here, you can be Captain America. And Sam goes on this journey to realize that he is worthy of the mantle of being Captain America. And it feels like he does that exact same thing in this movie, feeling like he isn't worthy again. And I'm like, dude, you already went through all of this. Why do we need to watch all of it happen over again? But I guess if you haven't seen the show, then it doesn't really matter. And if you haven't seen the show, I don't blame you, because to tell you the truth, it's not that great of a show. If you ask me, I really think that The Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have been Brave New World rather than what we got in Brave New World. Because I truly think all of the events that occur in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier could have been whittled down to like a 2-hour movie. Oh, and not to mention the multitude of villains that this movie has. One of the villains is played by Giancarlo Esposito, and honestly, I don't even remember his character's name because he is absolutely useless to the plot. I don't know if he was, maybe someone can confirm for me, but it feels like Esposito was one of the people that was involved in the reshoots. Like, he wasn't a part of this movie to begin with, and then they just added him in the reshoots to make it more interesting, I guess. Thaddeus Ross is also technically a villain because, as you've seen in the trailers, he turns out to be Red Hulk. But Red Hulk was at the center of a lot of this movie's marketing, and if you have not seen this movie, then I will tell you right now, you're gonna be disappointed if you wanted to see a lot of Red Hulk, because he's in this movie for about 5 minutes. The movie was really banking on Red Hulk, and then what we got was just a 5-minute battle, and that's it. But the main antagonist in this movie is the leader. Do you remember who the leader is? If you don't, then I do not blame you at all. The leader is a character that first appeared in The Incredible Hulk. Yes, The Incredible Hulk, which was the second movie in the MCU. That is a movie that came out 17 years ago. The year was 2008. Just to give you an idea of how long ago that was, I am going to date myself. I was in middle school at the time. I am now 7 years removed from college. Edward Norton was still the Hulk at that time. Obama was in his first term. There was a housing market crash. And we are getting a movie that picks up on the events of a movie that came out 17 years ago that a lot of people don't like to begin with and most likely forgot about altogether. Because of that, this movie just feels like The Incredible Hulk 2. And I've seen defenders of Captain America Brave New World say, I don't understand that criticism at all. I think you watched a different movie. But I gotta say, I think you guys watched a different movie, because this movie picks up the events of The Incredible Hulk. It literally references events that happened in The Incredible Hulk. It brings back characters from that movie. How can you not say that this isn't a continuation of that? It really feels like this is just an Incredible Hulk story without the Hulk. Captain America is just kind of there. And that's another huge problem with it. This doesn't feel like a Captain America or Sam Wilson story whatsoever. And as I mentioned earlier, this movie has just a very underwhelming and disappointing post-credit scene. I don't even know if you can call it that, because this is easily one of the most forgettable post-credit scenes that I have seen in a movie like this in a while. It literally does nothing to progress anything that we just watched or the future of the MCU. It really feels like Kevin Feige just felt pressure to have a post-credit scene, and he just thought of the first thing that was on the top of his head. Kevin, I'm here to tell you, if you don't have an idea for a post-credit scene, then just don't put one in. It's okay. We'll understand. If there were any good things that I could say about Captain America Brave New World, is that some of the action is pretty good. There are some cool action sequences, like the one at the beginning of the movie, but easily the best action sequence is one that takes place on the ocean. With a bunch of military ships and fighter jets, it was actually really well done. And I will also say that Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford are good in this movie. Truly, I mean that wholeheartedly. I think they both did a really good job, but they just had nothing to work with. But I admire that because they really took this crap script and did the best they could with it. I thought Harrison Ford did a really good job as the character of Thunderbolt Ross after the late great William Hurt passed away recently, because he originally played that part. Which is something else, because I guarantee you a lot of people didn't realize that Harrison Ford was playing the exact same character as William Hurt, but that's neither here or there. And before I end this video, why is this movie even called Brave New World? Because if I remember correctly, it was originally called New World Order, but that also really didn't make any sense because of the contents of this movie. Because when I hear Brave New World, I think of the novel by Aldous Huxley. I don't know if you guys have read that book, but it's a dystopian novel about, obviously, a dystopian future. And in that future, things such as the words mother and father are illegal, and babies are born out of test tubes. People have sex constantly, like legitimately people have orgy parties. I'm not kidding, that's what's in this book. So why does this movie share its name with that book? I'm probably looking a little bit too deep into it, but I don't know, that just really confused me. All in all, like I said, Captain America Brave New World is not a bad movie, but it is most certainly not a good one either. This is truly a forgettable film, and I think even the people that liked it won't remember it for very long. I think the only time that this movie will be remembered is if someone is looking at all of the past MCU movies that they've gotten up until whatever point they are at in the future, and they'll be scrolling and they'll be like, oh, Captain America Brave New World. Yeah, I forgot about that movie. But yeah, this movie isn't great. I will probably never watch it again, and I will not remember much else about it in about a month's time. Overall, I'd give Captain America Brave New World a 5 out of 10. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching my review of Captain America Brave New World. If you guys saw this movie, let me know what you thought about it. Did you love it, or did you not think it was all that great like me? If you guys like this review, be sure to hit that thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe. If you want to see my previous reviews, I will link those right over here. Other than that, hope you all have a tremendous rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.